strength and conditioning is a strange term to understand because it doesn't quite make sense, but essentially it's sport-specific fitness training. Everything other than the sports training itself could be classed as S&C in inverted commas. So it kind of depends on the sport. So if we take a team sport or a racket or court sport, the strength and conditioning coach's role will be to program all the physical training for that athlete, which will involve fitness activities, endurance training, sprinting, and specific strength training in the weight room facility, which is a kind of specialist activity itself. So that will be a big proportion of the athlete's training week, maybe up to 50% of the time that they spend. For other sports that are more technically orientated, like gymnastics for example, or fencing, then strength and conditioning will be used to develop physical qualities such as force generation or power, or the ability to land in certain positions or cope with the stresses of the sport, so that the athlete is less likely to get injured and better able to do the techniques that their coach will want them to do. So in that aspect, strength and conditioning will be an integral part of the weekly training program, but maybe slightly smaller percentage, maybe 20% or something perhaps, of a couple of times a week, but not as extensive as the hockey player. And then we have the big physical sports like your cycling, your rowings and your athletics, swimming guys, and they will spend by definition most of their time rowing or cycling or running, and then strength and conditioning will be supportive of that activity, again similar to the gymnast, trying to promote the physical quality they need to be the most efficient runner or the most powerful rower in that respect. And again, depending on the sport, but there could be 3 to 5 strength and conditioning supervised sessions a week within the English Institute of Sport in that type of environment. A little bit like a doctor or a physio has to take their notes of the treatment, a strength and conditioning coach will write a program, usually using Excel or a spreadsheet based software, and that will detail all the exercises in all the different sessions, and either the time or the weights or the intensities that these exercises have to be performed at. And then those individual sessions are a component of the plan, and that will be structured and organised in a document explaining the whole week's training. So ideally, the coach of the sport and the strength and conditioning coach will sit down together, plan out the whole week's training during a training phase, and then they will, if you like, organise the strength and conditioning training to fit in with the sport-specific training at the right time, so you can get the optimum adaptation, stress, and then recovery, adaptation, stress, and recovery. So it's very important that that's done in a coordinated fashion, and it's also very important that the English Institute of Sport S&C team are very detailed with their programming and their documentation of it. And further to that, then we will keep a close record and monitoring of the progress made during the training programs, and I believe we actually do that to a very, very high standard in this organisation. We're probably world leading at monitoring of training programs, I would say.